13.19 meters in his first try. Tran Van Nguyen from Vietnam set the bar high though, scoring a distance of 27.09 meters with his first throw. This would eventually secure him the gold medal. Disappointed with his first 4 attempts, which included 2 which were red flagged, De Roy eventually calmed himself to throw a discus of a distance of 18.60 meters on his 5th. This was his best try out of 6. His competitors were ahead of him in the medal stakes. Indonesia's Sholahuddin Alayubi waited until his final throw of the event to score a distance of 24.16 meters, which eventually acquired him the silver medal, while his compatriot Anshari Sugihan Noor settled for the bronze medal, with his second try of 21.88 meters securing him the place ahead of De Roy. It wasn't the debut that De Roy had hoped for in this event, but it was definitely an experience he would cherish.
It's a good experience for me because this is my first discus competition. I need to work more on the technique to improve myself. I will practice more. I will work more on my physical, my strength, my speed, yeah, mental skill, yeah.
Jakarta's notorious traffic congestion is also a sign of growing prosperity for the capital's 10 million inhabitants. I'm Saiful Bahri Ismail, CNA, Jakarta.
Welcome back. Time for some business news now. And Singapore and Estonia are making steps towards greater collaboration with the signing of 2 business deals. Now, it will be easier to exchange information and establish companies, which will boost the startup environment in both countries. Enterprise Singapore and Enterprise Estonia signed the first agreement to boost business opportunities and support companies, particularly in sectors such as agri-tech, agri-food tech, and renewable energy. The other deal will see 2 health and wellness companies work together in research and clinical trials. Estonia Prime Minister Kaja Kallas noted that both nations share a common vision for entrepreneurship and have a vibrant startup culture that nurtures creativity.
By joining forces, we can leverage our respective comparative advantages and expertise to drive sustainable economic growth. Not only within our own borders, but also in our respective regions. Estonian companies see Singapore as a hub and gateway to Asia, especially Southeast Asia, and vice versa.
It's being pointed out that Singapore, as with other countries, must put a clear emphasis on safety and security as they invest in new digital technologies. Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat says that this is key in building trust. He was speaking to global leaders and industry chiefs at the Asia Tech X Singapore Summit.
In every technology revolution, there is a period of adjustment where users build their understanding of and confidence in these new technologies before they are more widely adopted. How far and how fast the new technologies diffuse depend on how much trust is reposed in them.
Mr. Heng cited the example of quantum computing, where very specific, complex tasks that would take quantum computers hours to solve will take traditional computers hundreds of years. But such tech introduces new security risks, and that's why Singapore is launching a network infrastructure to help businesses tap quantum-safe technologies.
Singapore swimmers picked up 8 medals on day 3 of competition at the ASEAN Para Games in Phnom Penh. These included 3 gold. In the men's 100-meter freestyle S13 event, Colin Soon was quickest off the block. He fended off strong competition from compatriot Wong Zhiwei, clocking a personal best of 59.72 seconds and setting a new games and national mark as well. Wong finished behind Soon for the 3rd time at these games, but he would take gold in the 100-meter fly S13 event.
I feel really happy and surprised because I really did not go into this meet thinking that I'll be able to break so many records and get so many goals. So I'm very happy and very pleased that very pleased and honored that I can do so much for Singapore.
Our sister Sophie Sun also struck gold in the women's 100-meter butterfly S13. Up against Indonesia, she led from start to finish, touching home in a time of 1 minute 22.41 seconds.
Still trying to manage an injury that's ongoing, and on top of that, I haven't trained butterfly in a really long time. It's quite a last-minute prep, to be very honest. So I think all that considered, it's not too bad of a performance.
Singapore also picked up 4 medals on the final day of the Bokya individual events. The men's BC3, Aloysius Gan was up against his opponent from Thailand to decide who takes gold, but he lost 7-2 and had to settle silver. Gareth Ho, meanwhile, beat his Malaysian opponent 9-1, finishing third out of 5 to take home bronze.
All my hard work throughout the year have paid off, and I hope to continue win more medals for Singapore.
In the BC1 final, world number 2 Geraldine Tan claimed silver, while To Zining went home with a bronze in the BC3 event.
She did her best just now. I can see that all her energy is all out, but we could have done better. I think after this competition, we will train more, we train harder.
That's Singapore Tonight. Don't forget headlines anytime at CNA.Asia.
That's from Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. Good night.
Bye for now.
Warm memories wherever you go. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Oh God. Mom.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
We know enough of this scale-up.
Different alleys would be governed by different gangs. Men seeking the affection of foreign females.
Now make way for a lesser-known gala.
Here you go, the creme de la creme.
Oh, it's actually working.
Expect the unexpected in Geylang.
Vamos, let's go.
Take a walk on the wild side with me in Geylang. Sunday on CNA.
As Malaysia continues its fight against COVID-19, families had to overcome significant barriers to see their loved ones again. I'm Afifa Arifin, CNA, Johor.
This is Asia First.
At 7 a.m. here in Singapore, I'm Steve Line. Our top story this hour. The UN Security Council meets after a major dam in southern Ukraine collapsed, flooding villages and forcing the evacuation of 17,000 people. The US warns of catastrophe as Moscow and Kyiv trade blame for destroying the dam.
The sheer magnitude of the catastrophe will only become fully realized in the coming days. The reservoir which is formed by the dam is a lifeline in the region and a critical water source for millions of people.
I'm
Elizabeth Neo also this morning re-engaging with China. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is reportedly planning to travel to Beijing as fresh tensions flare between the two major powers over military close shaves in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. And even as Washington seeks to thaw frosty relations with Beijing, it's holding joint naval drills with Japan and the Philippines in the South China Sea amid concerns over Beijing's military assertiveness in the region.
I'm Henry Yin with Business News. Wall Street ended the day marginally in the green as investors look ahead to the Fed's key policy meeting next week. And US regulators deal another blow to the crypto industry, suing the country's largest cryptocurrency platform Coinbase. It's the SEC's second lawsuit in 2 days, following its case against Binance. Conflicting reports are emerging over the collapse of the Novakhovka Dam in southern Ukraine, with Kyiv and Moscow acting